Welcome back to Inherited Dawn, the One Piece podcast. We are diving headfirst into Chapter 115, Little Garden.
And what a fitting name for an island that immediately feels too small for what it contains.
Too small is right. The chapter ends with Nami and Usopp staring up at a shadow that blots out the sun, and you just know the scale of this adventure just got reset. Completely.
A shadow with a silhouette that is unmistakably human, but impossibly large. It's a moment that fundamentally changes what is possible in this world, right before our eyes.
This is exactly the kind of escalation we live for. It's that feeling of cresting a hill and realizing it was just the foothill of a mountain range you couldn't even see before. If you want to be right here with us when we find out what's casting that shadow, make sure you've joined our expedition by following the show wherever you get your podcasts. You don't want to get left behind on this island.
You really don't. So, let's begin. The chapter opens with the crew on the Going Merry, and Vivi is adjusting. Or perhaps more accurately, failing to adjust.
Yeah, she's seeing how they live, and it is completely alien to her. Luffy's just chilling in his special seat, the figurehead, like it's a throne. Usopp is talking about building a new, improved fishing pole, always the tinkerer. Sanji's swooping in with drinks for the ladies. It's the perfect picture of the Straw Hat dynamic in its natural habitat.
It's a portrait of normalcy for them, but for Vivi, it must look like utter madness. She is coming from a world of clandestine operations within Baroque works, and before that, the rigid structure of a royal court. She's used to plans, hierarchies, and protocol. The Straw Hats operate on vibes and the whims of their captain.
And you can see that weight on her, constantly thinking about the escalating civil war back in Alabasta. Every moment she spends here just sailing is a moment her country is tearing itself apart. So when she sees them being so carefree, it's not that she resents it, but she can't comprehend it.
She can't let go of that burden. She keeps trying to warn them about the Grand Line, about how dangerous it is, repeating the lessons she learned from Crocodile. She's essentially trying to fit her square peg of experience into their round hole of existence. But for them, this is just Tuesday. The danger is the point.
Exactly. That's the disconnect she can't bridge yet. It's not that they don't get it, it's that their whole philosophy is different. Luffy's whole philosophy is, if it's no fun, it's not an adventure. Vivi is on a mission to save her country. Luffy is on an adventure. Those two goals are aligned for now, but their foundational principles are worlds apart. They don't brace for the danger, they run to meet it.
It's a fundamental culture clash between Vivi, who has everything to lose, and the Straw Hats, who've already left everything behind. Their homes, their pasts, they put it all in the rearview mirror to chase a dream. Vivi is desperately trying to get back to the home she's trying to save.
And it's on this note that they see the island. The clouds part, and there it is. A tropical jungle, just as Miss All Sunday told them it would be.
An island that from the outset feels primeval. You can almost feel the humidity coming off the page. The art is so good at establishing an atmosphere with just a few panels.
Man, every time her name comes up, it's just a reminder that Baroque works is always one step ahead. Or at least they think they are. She warned them about this place, which means she wanted them to come here. It's a chess move. She put the piece on the board, told them where it was, and now is waiting to see how they react.
Or she was offering a genuine warning, which is somehow more unsettling. If a high-ranking officer in a criminal organization that wants you dead is telling you to be careful, the threat must be extraordinary. We still don't know her angle. Is it a trap? Is it a test? Is it a piece of information traded for her own amusement? She is the ultimate black box.
And Nami, bless her sensible heart, is taking it as a serious warning. She trusts the log post above all else, and that thing is going absolutely bonkers.
The needle is spinning uncontrollably. This tells us something significant about the island's magnetic field. It's not just strong, it's unstable, or perhaps multipolar. For a navigator like Nami, that's the equivalent of a pilot's instruments all failing at once. It's a nightmare.
Right, so her logic is ironclad. The Needle is trying to lock onto the next island, which means their stay here has a time limit. A full year, apparently, which is insane. But the plan is sound. Stay on the ship, don't set foot on the crazy, unloggable island, wait for the log to set, and leave. Simple, safe, logical.
But Luffy is on this ship.
But Luffy is on this ship, and for him, a jungle island filled with weird bird calls and a haywire log pose isn't a death trap, it's an invitation. It's a giant sign that says, adventure this way. He's not thinking about the log pose, he's thinking, what kind of cool bugs and weird animals are in there? You can see it in his eyes, that childlike wonder that overrides all sense of self-preservation.
And this is where we get a really interesting character moment, one that I think is crucial for Vivi's development. After just warning everyone to be careful, to listen to Nami, to stay on the ship, she decides to go with him.
I loved this. It feels like a contradiction at first, but her reasoning just clicks into place perfectly. It's not because she's suddenly reckless or has abandoned her caution. She says it outright. She needs a distraction. She's been stewing in her own anxiety, thinking about Alabasta, and she knows that if she just sits on the ship for a year or even a few days, she is going to fall apart.
It's a very mature and self-aware decision. She knows her own limits. She recognizes the signs of burnout and mental fatigue. She understands that sometimes the most logical course of action, sitting still and being safe, isn't the one that will keep you sane. The anxiety of inaction can be more corrosive than the fear of the unknown. So she drags Karoo and follows the madman into the jungle.
It's her officially buying into the Straw Hat way, even if just for a little bit. It's a trial run. Trusting that moving forward even into the unknown is better than sitting still with your own fear. For a character who is defined by her sense of responsibility, this is a huge step. She's taking a moment for herself so that she can be strong enough for her kingdom later.
While they're gone, we cut back to the ship, where another classic dynamic is about to be forged in fire, a rivalry that will define a generation.
Oh, here we go. It starts with Sanji realizing they're low on food, so as the crew's provider, he needs to restock. He turns to the one guy on the ship who is pure, deadly predator. He asks Zoro to go hunting.
And Zoro, who is napping, of course, because that is his default state when not training or fighting, is immediately annoyed. Not at the request to hunt, but at the person making the request. The audacity of the cook to order him around.
The dialogue is perfect. It's so simple, but it lays the foundation for everything. Sanji tells him to go get food. Zoro, barely opening an eye, just grumbles that he'll get something bigger than anything Sanji could ever catch. He's just poking the bear. He knows exactly which buttons to press. It's not about the food anymore. It's about pride.
And it works perfectly. Sanji's a man who prides himself on two things, his cooking and his charm with the ladies. Zoro's comment is a direct challenge to his ability to provide, to his very identity as the ship's chef. He absolutely cannot let that stand, especially not in front of Nami. So he declares it a contest. Whoever brings back the bigger game wins.
And that's it. The moment it begins. The first shot fired in a war that will span the entire Grand Line. The legendary rivalry kicks off right here over who can hunt the bigger dinosaur. This is super. It's like watching the Big Bang.
It's more than just a gag, though. You're right, this is foundational. This is how they operate. They can't just cooperate on a simple task. They have to turn it into a competition that pushes them both to a ridiculous extreme. It's how they sharpen each other. Zoro's ambition requires a whetstone, and Sanji's passion needs a fire to test itself against.
100%. It's not malice, it's their weird, aggressive way of making each other stronger. Sanji's pride versus Zoro's ambition. You see Zoro leap off the ship with this intense grin on his face, and Sanji strikes a pose and heads off in the opposite direction. This is setting up a pillar of the crew's dynamic right here, and it's just pitch perfect. You know from this one interaction that these two will be trying to one-up each other until the end of time.
And it's this competitive drive that makes them so formidable. They refuse to be the weaker of the two, which means they are both constantly striving to surpass their own limits. It's a symbiotic rivalry.
They're literally going to see who can hunt a bigger beast on an island called Little Garden. The irony is delicious.
Meanwhile, in the jungle, Luffy and Vivi are discovering that Zoro and Sanji might need to recalibrate their definition of big game. Radically.
They haven't been on the island for 5 minutes and they see a giant tiger fighting a giant elephant. Then they get chased by some kind of massive ammonite. Everything on this island is huge and ancient. Vivi is terrified, as any normal person would be, but Luffy is just having the time of his life.
He sees a giant prehistoric monster, and his first instinct isn't to run or fight, but to marvel at how cool it is. He looks at a saber-toothed tiger and thinks, awesome! This is his element. This is the embodiment of the romance of adventure he's been seeking.
This is what he signed up for. This is the grand line he dreamed of. He didn't come here for a safe and easy journey through some calm waters. He came here for Dinosaur Island. He's like a kid in the world's most dangerous candy store, and he wants to try everything.
And Vivi gets confirmation of this when she puts the pieces together. The giant insects, the flora, the creatures that should have been extinct for eons. She realizes where they are. The island isn't just old. It's been frozen in time. It's a prehistoric ecosystem that has survived completely unchanged into the modern day.
Which brings up so many questions. How? Why here? What is it about this specific island that stopped evolution in its tracks? Is it connected to the magnetic fields? Is there some kind of energy source here? It's a mystery on a planetary scale.
The Grand Line's bizarre magnetic fields and climate could be a factor. Perhaps it's isolated in a way that other islands aren't, creating a unique environment where these creatures could continue to thrive, unchallenged by outside species or geological change. It's a living time capsule, a little garden, preserved.
Speaking of which, back on the Mary, Nami and Usopp are left alone. Think about that pairing. The two most normal, most relatable, most I don't want to die today members of the crew are by themselves on a ship moored at Jurassic Park.
Their anxiety is so palpable. The panels are drawn with a lot of empty space around them on the ship, making them feel small and isolated. You can feel the quiet dread. They're surrounded by the sounds of the jungle, screeches and roars they can't identify, and they're left to imagine the worst.
Usopp is just trying to keep it together, doing his usual shtick of acting tough, talking about how he's not scared, but you know he's seconds away from screaming his head off. And Nami is trying to be the calm, rational one, focusing on her maps, trying to impose order on a situation that is fundamentally chaotic.
And in her search for order, for information, she finds a book. It's a log left by a previous adventurer, someone who, judging by the fact that their logbook is still here, clearly didn't make it off the island. And this book explains the name that has been bugging me since the chapter title, Little Garden.
That name is so chilling when you think about it. It's not called Dinosaur Island or Jungle of Death. It's Little Garden. It makes it sound contained, cared for, like a terrarium. It's a name that implies perspective. From whose perspective is this prehistoric island little?
Exactly, which implies a gardener. Someone or something is curating this place, or at least observing it. The name reframes the island from a natural wonder into an artificial or at least maintained environment. And that is a terrifying thought. Who has the power to treat a place like this as their personal garden?
And just as Nami is processing this, just as the existential dread is really starting to set in, the sky goes dark. The sun is blocked out. Not by a cloud, it's too sudden, too complete. Usopp looks up and we see what they see reflected in the lens of his goggles. A shadow. A massive humanoid shadow looming directly over the going Mary. It's a giant. An actual honest-to-God giant. We're not in the East Blue anymore. We've gone from sea kings to dinosaurs to giants in the span of a few chapters. The power scaling of the world itself is just rocketing upwards.
This is what Vivi was trying to warn them about, the sheer impossibility of the Grand Line. It's not just stronger pirates with crazier devil fruits. The laws of nature themselves are different here. Physics, biology, scale, it's all thrown out the window.
And our two most grounded, sensible crew members are the ones who have to face it first, alone. Luffy would see this and want to fight it. Zoro would want to cut it. Sanji would wonder if it knows how to cook. But Nami and Usopp, they just see an extinction-level event standing over their heads. What a cliffhanger. That is just masterful storytelling, an absolute masterclass in the page turn.
It also casts Miss All-Sunday's warning in a new light. Did she know about the inhabitants? Was she sending them here to be eliminated by them, to be crushed before they could even become a threat to Baroque works?
Or maybe she was testing them, see if they could survive a place like this. Baroque works is all about strength, right? Maybe this is just part of the interview process for taking down a warlord. Can you survive an island of giants and dinosaurs? If so, you may proceed to the next stage of your doom.
An interesting thought. Before we get to predictions, I want to mention Oda's author comment for this week. He just says, December 29th, something amazing is going to happen. For now, just be sure to write One Piece on that date in your calendar.
I love when he does stuff like that. It feels like we're all in on it together. I can only imagine how exciting that was for readers back then, wondering what it could be. I believe it turned out to be for a big event announcement.
It creates a sense of a living, breathing story that's unfolding for all of us in real time. It fosters a community. We aren't just reading a manga. We're part of the One Piece experience.
It really does. So what do you all think is going to happen next? Let us know in the comments whose side you're on in the Great Hunt. Are you Team Zoro or Team Sanji? Personally, I think they both lose, but it's about the journey, not the destination.
A difficult choice. One is driven by ambition, the other by pride. It's a classic conflict. All right, Franky. Predictions for chapter 116. Give me what you got.
Okay, prediction 1. The giant doesn't immediately attack. I think he's going to be just as surprised to see them as they are to see him. I'm picturing a moment where he just sort of leans down, his eye the size of the entire ship, and squints at the tiny Going Merry. There's going to be a moment of mutual, confused silence.
I could see that. The initial shock gives way to curiosity. The scale is so different that he might not even register them as a threat or even as people at first. It would be like us finding a very elaborate and noisy beetle. Okay.
Prediction 2, Zoro and Sanji are both going to find absolutely colossal dinosaurs. I'm talking T-Rexes, Triceratops, the works. But they're going to get so caught up in one-upping each other. Zoro will find one, Sanji will see it and find a bigger one, Zoro will get angry and attack Sanji's dinosaur, that they'll end up fighting each other, and the dinosaurs will just wander off, leaving them with nothing. The end result, they both fail the contest in the most spectacular way possible.
A classic outcome for their rivalry. Mutually assured destruction of their objective. It sets the tone for their future interactions, where their competition often becomes the point rather than the goal they were trying to achieve. I like it. Very in character.
And my third prediction, Luffy is going to try to make friends with the T-Rex. He's not going to see a monster, he's going to see a potential new crewmate. He'll probably offer it some of his meat and ask it if it knows how to navigate. Vivi will be having a complete meltdown next to him.
That is the most Luffy-brained prediction possible, and therefore highly likely. His ability to see the friend in the monster is one of his greatest and most baffling strengths. Okay, my turn.
Hit me.
My first prediction. This giant is not alone. The name Little Garden implies a duel, a tradition, a curated space. I believe he has a rival, another giant, and they have been locked in a battle here for a very long time. This island isn't just their home, it's their arena.
Oh, bro, an island-sized grudge match? A fated battle that's been going on for decades, maybe centuries? Yes, that is exactly the kind of epic romantic backstory the Grand Line is built on. I love that.
Prediction 2. Luffy and Vivi will stumble upon the giant settlement, or camp. We won't just see them as monsters, we'll see how they live, what they eat, presumably the giant dinosaurs, and through some environmental storytelling, we'll realize they're not just mindless beasts, but people with a history, a culture, and a reason for being here.
finding the story behind the spectacle. Classic. You're always looking for the poneglyph in the room, and I respect that. Give me the lore.
And for my final prediction, the giant that Nami and Usopp see is not the one who left the book. That adventurer, the author of the log, was someone else entirely. And we're going to find their remains, perhaps near the giant's camp, along with a more complete logbook that explains exactly why this island is so dangerous. And the true danger will have nothing to do with the dinosaurs, or even the giant's ongoing duel. It will be something else, something connected to Baroque works.
Ooh, a misdirect. So the giants are the spectacle, but the real threat is hiding in the shadows. Maybe Mr. 3 is already here, waiting for them. That's a great theory. Man, I can't wait to see what happens next. This arc has started at a full sprint, and I have a feeling it's not slowing down.
I agree. The curtain has risen on a much larger stage.
And that's our show. Join us next time as we dive into chapter 116 and find out just how big this new world can get. Until then, stay super and don't get stepped on.
Farewell.